There was a novel that was extremely unpopular. Three people were watching something when one of the boys said, "Who would eagerly start reading a novel with over 3,000 chapters? Even I, the only reader, have been reading this for 10 years, and I finally reached the last chapter." Back then, I still didn't know that the day I read the last chapter of the novel I had been reading for 10 years would be significant. He said, "This is impossible. This is a development I know of. The world within the novel has become a reality." He asked someone, "Who are you?" As he reached the last chapter, he said, "Now, I am about to read this, and I am getting nervous." The solitary reader knew the epilogue of the world. There are three ways to survive in a rewind world. Currently, I have forgotten about you, but one thing is certain. Those who are reading this right now will survive. Three ways to survive in the rewind world. As he scrolled through the last chapter, he said, "For real? That's the end? I am Dokja." He presented himself by saying this. However, most people misunderstood, like the following example. Someone asked, "Are you just a child?" He replied, "I am, but I didn't mean it that way." Then the person asked, "What did you mean?" He said, "My name is Dokja. My father gave me this name so that I could live as a strong man, even if I were alone. However, due to my father's naming sense, I have lived my ordinary life as a lonely, unmarried man. In short, this is who I am. I am Kim Dokja, 28 years old, a graduate from a third-rate rural university, currently working as a contracted worker at a subsidiary of a major company. My hobby is reading web novels on my way home from work. However, today was quite different from my usual routine. Someone came up to me and said, 'You will get sucked into your phone at this rate.' It was a girl, and her name was Sangha from Human Resources. He greeted her, and she replied, 'Are you on your way home?' He said, 'Yes, what about you?' She replied, 'I was lucky. The department manager went on a business trip today.' He thought, to think that I would meet her, the most popular woman in our company, on the subway. Starting from Deputy Manager Kang of HR and Finance Manager Han, many men from the company offered to drive her home every evening. She then told him that someone had stolen her bicycle. He asked, 'Do you come to work by bike?' She replied, 'Yes, I have a lot of free time these days, and I was enjoying the exercise. There were also some other benefits, so it seemed like a good idea.' Seeing her up close, he began to understand why the woman who had stolen the hearts of so many men was different. She lived in a different genre of life than he did. For your information, the reason today was different from my usual routine wasn't just because of her. She said something in a different language and explained, 'This is Spanish. It means, can you send me some money?' He thought she was studying on her way home and realized they truly lived in different worlds. She then asked, 'By the way, what are you reading so intently?' She looked at his phone and asked if it was a novel. He replied, 'You could say that I'm studying Korean.' She asked, 'Do you love reading novels?' He answered, 'Yes, I enjoy the works of Murakami Haruki and Raymond Carver.' She asked, 'So is your favorite author one of them?' He replied, 'You wouldn't recognize his name even if I told you. Indeed, his hobby was reading web novels on his way home from work, but it was a bit embarrassing to tell people that.' Anyway, the reason today was different from my usual evening was because the fantasy novel I had been reading for 10 years, 3 Ways to Survive in a Rewind World, had come to an end. You might ask, what's so important about a novel ending? This novel means a great deal to me. I have been reading it since my 3rd year of middle school, even when I was being bullied at school, when I failed my entrance exams, and when I ended up at a third-rate rural university. When I dialed the wrong number and was sent to the damn front line, and later when I got into a major company's subsidiary as a contracted worker, he said, 'Just forget it.' Anyway, the emptiness I felt at the end of the story and the reflection from rewatching the conclusion. Today is the day the epilogue of Way of Survival gets released, the fantasy novel that reached 3,149 chapters. The novel I've been reading for 10 years, from my teenage years to adulthood. To think that this author took 10 years to write over 3,000 chapters of a novel that only had an average viewership of 1 per chapter. There were 1,200 views for Chapter 1, around 20 for Chapter 10, and only 12 after Chapter 50. In other words, this is a novel dedicated to me. Although I want to donate to the author, as a man who lives alone with a limited salary, I don't have the freedom to do that. Therefore, I wrote him a comment with words from the bottom of my heart. I tried posting this now all over the recommendations, but I got insulted. Even though it's a pretty good story if you stay patient and continue reading such unreasonable people. As he was thinking this, the girl called his name, and he said, "Oh no, now that I think about it, it's been a year since we joined the company. Time really flies." He thought, "I've got to change the topic before things get awkward." She replied, "That's true. Back then, the both of us didn't know anything." He said, "Indeed, I still remember it like yesterday, but the contract is already almost over." He had forgotten that her probation was recognized and that she was already promoted to a full-time employee. She said, "Oh, right, I forgot to congratulate you. My apologies. Maybe I should have studied more diligently." He replied, "That's not true. It's all about performance and review." He hated to admit it, but she was incredible. If this world were a novel, the protagonist would be someone like her. That was obvious. He had not put in any effort while she was working hard. He was reading web novels while she was studying. It was obvious that she would become a full-time employee while his contract would be terminated. She said his name again and asked, "If you don't mind, could you show me the app you use?" He thought, if my life were different, would I have become the protagonist? He replied, "It's all right. I don't know how or what would change. What I do know is that even if you show me the app, it won't change anything about the genre of my life. I mistakenly believed in realism, and within this genre, I am not the protagonist, but a reader." She said, "You really say some interesting things, Dokja." He guessed, "I'm living an ordinary life, like a side character, not a protagonist." He admitted that to himself and thought about his life. Then things got quiet. He received a message. Back then, he could never have imagined that the message was from the author of the novel he had been reading, thanking him. The message read, "I was able to complete this novel thanks to you. I even won a competition." He asked, "What competition?" The author replied, "You wouldn't recognize the name. It wasn't a well-known competition. The novel is scheduled to be monetized when the epilogue is released today, and I'd like to send you a special gift to express my gratitude. Could you tell me your email address? This world you experienced exists thanks to you. I was able to bring it to life because of your support." He thought, but seriously, did he really win a competition? I wonder if he'll give me a cultural gift card. 50,001 would be nice. As he received the email, the message read, "Thank you for everything. The monetization starts at 7. I hope this will be of help to you. I wish you the best of luck." He thought, let's see. He clicked the link, but it led to a message. "The novel you are looking for does not exist." He said, "That's all?" It was deleted without even informing me of the details. Suddenly, something happened in the sky. He said, "Is this a terrorist attack?" Everyone was scared. The subway came to a halt. He asked Sangha, "Are you all right?" She replied, "Yes, but what happened?" He reassured her, "Don't worry, it's probably nothing too serious." As he was saying that, the time struck 7 p.m. He said, "I accidentally witnessed the moment the clock changed." However, that moment coincided with the monetization announcement. To all passengers, everyone run away. Everyone was surprised. Just what is happening? The announcement continued, "The free service of planet Earth has been terminated. System 8612 is now in effect. The main scenario begins now." At that moment, the genre of his life had changed. The moment it appeared, someone cried out, "It's a dokaibi." There's no way this is happening in the subway. The opening scene, it's no surprise. Logically speaking, there was absolutely no way this could happen. It was impossible. The moment when fiction and reality perfectly overlapped. But does anyone else besides me realize the significance and gravity of the situation? Within the world of ways of survival, this was the dokaibi that initiated never-ending tragedy and calamity. It sounded a bit like Spanish. Later, while talking to it, she said, "That sounds like Spanish. Should I try talking to it?" He replied, "Do you even know what this thing is? Are you going to ask it to lend you some money?" She responded, "I wasn't going to do that." The dokaibi said, "Did you hear me correctly? That was a pain to deal with. The Korean patch didn't work properly. Can everyone hear my words clearly now?" it asked. Someone in the crowd said, "What are you doing right now? Are you filming a movie? I have an audition to attend, so I need to leave quickly." The Dokja replied, "Auditions? I didn't know there were auditions at this time of night. Looks like we didn't investigate properly. I was told most people would comply if we started the monetization at 7 p.m. Now, everyone, calm down, take a seat, and listen to me. I have something very important to tell you." There was no doubt about it. This was the development I knew. He called it, "So this is it." He told everyone to stay quiet as the Dokja grew angry and glared at several people. "This is not a movie shoot, nor a dream, nor the reality you believe in. Do you understand?" it asked. And then it said, "That's right, it's all real." The part of me that couldn't believe the situation went completely silent when the subway car became a bloodbath. Hasn't your life been nice and peaceful so far? You were born and paid no price to breathe, eat, poop, and breed as you wished in a great world. But those golden days are gone because nothing in this world is free for eternity. Someone, desperate, said, "If you're asking for money, I can give you all the money you want. Take a look at my business card. This is who I am. So how much money do you want? Double or triple?" The Dokja replied, "So you're saying you'll give me human money?" The person said, "If you let me out of here, I can give you as much as you want." The Dokja laughed and said, "Money, that's good. Plant fibers that humans mutually agree to use as currency. Sure, it works. There's really nothing money can't buy, but that only applies in space-time governed by humans. In a macrocosmic world like this, that measly piece of paper has no value. And if you say something like that again, I'll blow your brains out." The Dokja continued, "Your debt will keep piling up if you continue to babble on. This will be all right. Instead of explaining it 100 times, it will be faster to make you experience it yourself." Then it said, "A channel is now open. The constellations have entered." Everyone asked, "What is this?" as a screen appeared in front of them. "The menu has arrived, showing your worth and value," it said. Then the Dokja looked at them and said, "Well then, please show me an interesting story." As Sangha calls the police, she says they're not answering. "What do we do?" she asks. He tells her to calm down and says, "You've played that game, right? The game where the world is destroyed and only a few people survive." She replies, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Think of it like this. We're currently inside that game. It's simple. All games have rules, right? You just need to follow them. We need to find out what to do from now on. The corpses are scattered around, like a crash site. The compartment is drenched in blood. An elderly lady is praying in her seat. I still can't believe it, but I can't doubt my eyes anymore. I have to admit it. I don't know why, but one thing is certain. The novel I've been reading for over 10 years has become a reality and is unfolding before my eyes. Now I must figure out how to survive in this new world. Everyone, please calm down, take a deep breath, and stop what you're doing. Can you calm down, please? Listen to me for a moment. As you may know, in the event of a national disaster, large human casualties can occur. That is why I will now take control of the situation. Currently, I am an Army lieutenant serving in the 6th Unit. I received a message from my unit about the disaster. I have been trying to contact them, but I apologize, I do not have a direct line to the Blue House. The national disaster is not a surprise given the situation, but there's another reason for my concern: the safety of all citizens. I know about him. It's the first time I've seen his face, but his name is deeply imprinted in my mind. He was one of the important supporting characters in Wave Survival. Even a character from the novel has appeared. But was he introduced like this in the novel? I need to read the reviews to find out. The Prime Minister is declaring a Level 1 national disaster. To all citizens in the specified area, the government will mobilize all means necessary to combat the terrorists. As I thought, I know the content of this speech: terrorism, right? It seemed simple enough in the book, but now that I'm actually hearing it, it sounds so ridiculous. But why is the Prime Minister giving this speech instead of the President? Is the President already dead? I'm not sure, but it was written in the comments. Of course, it wasn't fake. Soon after, the Prime Minister was also murdered. I've already told everyone that this is not something simple. Do you still not understand? Does this situation look like a game to you? According to this data, the citizens of the country are playing a skill-based game. Then why don't we increase the difficulty? The remaining time has been decreased. The time left is now 10 minutes. Kill one or more people, or as an additional penalty, if the first killing doesn't happen in the next 5 minutes, everyone in the carriage will die. Everyone says, "This is a joke," or "Why aren't the police coming?" The main character thinks everything is happening as predicted. These are definitely the same events that happened in Ways of Survival. But the uneasiness I feel right now isn't going away. Why hasn't that guy appeared yet? According to the story, he should have appeared by now. There's been a murder in the compartment. Block the door. Don't let them in. We need to block something transparent in front of the door. All access to the carriage will be denied until the scenario is complete. Interesting things are happening in some places, while others are yet to begin. All right, here's a special service for everyone. I will show you what will happen to all of you if nothing occurs in the next 5 minutes. As he shows the screen, someone says, "The uniform is from the girls' high school. The time limit has run out. The payment settlement will begin." Everyone is terrified when they see the survivor's name, Lee Jie from the high school. What do you think? Isn't this fun? This is a strange event I remember from the novel, events that I wasn't aware of taking place. The only way to break through this situation is to read Ways of Survival. But he says it's still not available. Since it was so popular, there probably aren't any illegal copies online. However, he says, "Don't tell me there's no way, right?" As he taps the attached file, it turns out to be the full novel sent to his email. He's been sent a copy of the novel through some sort of illegal distribution. All the survivors in Ways of Survival had exclusive abilities to use exclusive skills, just like in a game. It would be best to learn about the characteristics of attributes and skills, he says. But when he tries to open the status screen, he cannot activate the attribute window. This has never happened before. If I can't check my attribute window, I won't be able to know what skills or attributes I have, he exclaims. Forget it. Let's open the first file. His reading speed increases due to the effect of his exclusive ability, taking him less than a minute to read the first act of Ways of Survival. Thanks to that, he found it. It was compartment 3707. He identifies the source of the anomaly. From what he knows, it's because the compartment he's in right now is the one behind the compartment the protagonist is riding in. If that's true, then what happens to the people in compartment 387, like in the novel? She asks. Shouldn't we stop them? He looks through the blood-smeared window at the other compartment, but it's already too late. It was inevitable. There are only 2 survivors. You already know who the 2 survivors are, the man says. Didn't I tell you to shut up, he adds. He thinks Sangha will probably die. Only 2 survivors here, including me. As he sees their manager, he says, "Hey, old man, do you want to die? It looks like you still don't understand the situation. The army won't come to save us. We have to kill someone." "What are you talking about?" she says. "We must use someone to kill. That's what I'm saying." "I already know that, but do you think killing a fellow citizen to survive is something only beasts do?" she replies. "You're right, but that doesn't apply in a situation like this. This is beyond our control. We will die if we don't act. How will we play it out? Think carefully. The world you knew is gone, and this new world requires new laws. The one who adapts the fastest will survive." In Ways of Survival, he was the one who dropped his humanity in the crack. "How long are you going to just watch? Do you want to die?" he asked, destroying their moral compass. "I don't care anymore. If the first murder doesn't happen within the next 75 minutes, everyone will pull the liver at the same time because they don't want to know who killed the prisoner. I am simply spectating them, as though I'm watching the same scene from another world. I observe the entire spectacle. In the novel, I remember that the first victim was a woman whose name I didn't know. If I were to change that original development, the knowledge I could use to my advantage would dwindle. But is it correct to just spectate? He says, "You cannot act recklessly. You'll get killed if you go there." And he says, "This shows the fact that the general story has changed. She still shines as brightly as ever. But the person who can change the story is not her because she's not the protagonist of this world." He continues, "Please, listen to me, just this once. I won't interfere with you afterward." But it's still too early for me to step in. This wasn't my original plan, but I have no choice. I stood still the whole time, not because I was afraid of Kim Namwoon and the others, and not because I agreed with their inhuman actions. I was simply waiting for the opportune moment. Now, there are only 7 minutes and 32 seconds left. It might seem like I pushed Kim Namwoon just to save the old lady, but that's not the only reason I did it. He approaches a boy and says, "Let me borrow this," handing him something and telling him to hold it. Then he says, "Everyone stop. Even if you kill that old lady, you won't survive." He continues, "Let's say you kill the old lady, then what? Sure, once she dies, we'll pass the first murder condition, which will buy us some time. But after that, according to the imp, you'll still have to kill at least one more person. So who will you kill next? The person next to you." Someone responds, "It's simple. Just kill the people weaker than us. Don't worry about it. Your turn will come. It's a 50-50 chance." He replies, "Yes, I knew you would say that, but there's no need to gamble like that. There's a way for you to survive without becoming a murderer." Everyone asks, "How?" He says, "Did you forget? The scenario's clearing condition isn't to kill a person, but to kill one or more living beings." He then shows them insects. The explosive anger that was focused on the old lady suddenly shifted to me, but I wonder why, in such a precarious situation, my heart is beating with excitement. This is the kind of person I've always been. As soon as the first murder achievement is fulfilled, the system announces 100 points have been awarded to you as a bonus reward. The time remaining is only 3 minutes. Someone comes up and asks me, "What did you do?" You could have just handed over the insect. There were only 3 insects left in the box. This isn't enough for everyone. I respond, "No one in their right mind would do something like that. Be honest. You wanted to watch this unfold, didn't you?" And the answer is yes. This is the kind of person Kim Namwoon is. Cruel, careless, and someone who can enjoy a situation like this. As I get a unique skill, character identification activates, and I gain information about him. I could already guess, but the truth is, in the world of ways of survival, most people couldn't handle the merciless reality and fell apart. But not this guy. This boy, later called by a nickname, is not just a regular teenager. He had been waiting a long time for the end of the world, and he adapted with astonishing speed. Now, he's making me an offer. The time remaining is 2 minutes and 58 seconds. In compartment 3707, a fire is raging, and someone says, "Where did it go? It was just here. Now I'm going to catch it." I apologize, but I prefer to be alone. If I teamed up with him, my immediate survival would be guaranteed. If I hadn't read Ways of Survival, my answer might have been different. However, I am a reader who knows all about his past, present, and future, and seeing him in person makes it clear. The person then says, "Could you step aside? I have some business with that granny behind you." He responds, "I can't let the insect I caught escape from my grasp." The man retorts, "Are you trying to act like a hero of justice now? Do you have a split personality? Either way, you're all the same." It reminded me of how much he infuriated me when I read Ways of Survival. This type of person is the one I hate the most. The character looks down at him and he says, "I told you to stop." The other man replies, "I knew you would do something like that." He is using blackening level 1 skills already. But how the hell am I so strong? It's because of his talent that the protagonist valued him, despite his psychopathic personality. Do I have to use it now? You've achieved the conditions to use the stage of the exclusive skill, Omniscient Reader's View. What is that? He wonders. Why can't I hate you with all my heart? Of course you can't hate me, the other replies. The exclusive skill has been activated. My right shoulder feels heavy. The moment I activated my second skill, I could read his mind, but I can only use it defensively. I'm not good enough to attack him yet, but if I can just buy some time. You've got 2 minutes left now, someone says. If he kills the old lady, he will clear the scenario. No matter what, I can't let him move into the next scenario. He's about to do it. He uses a fighting skill and aims for his heart. It's like my skin is burning, he thinks. Death is right behind me. If I lose to him here, I will die. The weak die, and the strong survive. Such a predictable world. It's always been that way, a dog-eat-dog world where the strong prey on the weak. This fact just became more evident. I need to steel myself if I want to survive. Old man, you don't even understand. We don't have much time left, he says. This is during the mating season for grasshoppers, hundreds at a time. I didn't want to be the one to die, but you will. There are only 57 seconds left as the time passes. The time limit has run out, and the payment settlement begins. Of everyone who hasn't cleared the scenario, only 5 survivors are left. He says, "That's incredible. What exactly happened during the short time I left to check another compartment?" Then, someone mentions there are only 5 survivors left. The survivors' names are Lee Hunsung, Yu Sanga, Lee Gilyung, Han Myungo, and lastly, Kim Dokja. People are shouting, "Save me. Please save me. I'm begging you to save me. People's lives are more important." They are desperate, but in this new world, things have changed. He says it's obvious. In the old world, you said it yourself. A new world requires new laws. I don't want to die either. He continues, "You're right. I'm the same as you. I might have been able to save all these people, but I'd be lying if I said I don't feel any remorse. But I wonder why. How am I able to stay composed as if I'm just reading a novel? You've killed a total of 124 living beings. Kill history. 1 grasshopper, 123 grasshopper eggs. 1 world has been destroyed, and a new world was born. And I am the one and only reader who knows the world's finale." Suddenly, a large monster appears, coming from the sea. The manager asks, "Why did you stop?" That snake-like monster is an ichthyosaur, more commonly known as a sea serpent. It will later be classified as a 7th-grade monster in Ways of Survival. Scenarios take priority over everything in the world of Ways of Survival, so as long as we are protected by the scenario, we won't be attacked by them. A total of 21 constellations are watching us right now. No wonder he's so happy. This number represents the constellations watching the channel. Constellations are the most mysterious existences in the world of Ways of Survival. They are the masterminds behind the tragedy, sitting atop distant nebulas, watching us. To be more precise, they watch from above through the channel operated by the Dokja. 21 constellations isn't a huge number, but it's unusual for a beginner like him. If things had developed according to the original Ways of Survival, Kim Namwoon would have killed most of the people in the compartment and survived. But some constellations must be furious because I killed him. No, the constellations' preferences are popping up. It truly feels like the story is starting in earnest. It's funny, just yesterday I was watching them, but now our roles have reversed. If there are constellations that hate me, then there are obviously some who like me as well. Either way, watch me to your heart's content, because in the end, you will end up paying for this observation with your lives. As Yusanga asks him if he's all right, he replies, "I'm sorry, I couldn't save her." She responds, "How did you know? It was the bug cage that came to me by coincidence." He says, "That's why it won't happen again." Although she isn't aware of everything, she's smart enough to have survived in that chaos. She probably understood what I meant. Medicine saves some people, but kills others. No matter who survives, I don't have the right to receive such gratitude. He continues, "Why is everyone looking at me? Did I show you my value?" The number of survivors is significant, and the Dokja thanks everyone for participating. There are 21 of you on my channel. 5 survivors are more than I expected. I did expect Lee Hunsung. He has a good build and great motor skills. He points to another, and that kid, right? Then he asks, "Do you want to live?" Decision, fooling yourself with sympathy. If I had to put it into words, it's hypocrisy. It doesn't matter if you think it's unmerited, even if I want to survive in this world. Taking the future events into consideration, I need to get the constellation's attention now. A lot has happened today. The guy next door was quiet, and lastly, the deputy manager, truly human, with lots of luck. As the responsive selection starts, the statistics screen says, "Please select your sponsor." The selected sponsor will become your reliable backer: Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, Demon-like Judge of Fire, Secretive Plotter, and Prisoner of the Golden Headband. Yusanga says, "These are strange options on my screen." She asks, "Even if you ask me, I don't know the answer." I tell her, "Just relax and think of it as an aptitude test." But still, she receives 2 choices. Quite an amazing stroke of luck. The support of constellations, also known as responsive selection, is a fundamental event in Ways of Survival. It's a system where constellations, who watch through the channels, can choose a human to support and offer to make them their incarnation. In my case, 4 constellations want to make me their incarnation. However, constellations never reveal their true names. Instead, they use aliases, like Abyssal Demon or Judge of Fire, to conceal their identities. It's a piece of cake for me since I've read Ways of Survival. The Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is a powerful entity that leads a group of constellations called the Black Cloud. If I remember correctly, his true name is incredibly long. If I become his incarnation, I could gain an extremely strong attack ability, which would be invaluable in the early scenarios. However, the more you use his power, the more your mind gets corrupted. In the end, his incarnations fall into madness. He usually sponsors people with a Chuni attribute, and I believe Kim Namwoon was his incarnation in the original novel. Why would he choose me? The demon-like Judge of Fire overflows with sin and evil, but demon-like actually implies that it isn't a demon. The words fire and judge suggest that this entity is Archangel Uriel. I recall someone chose this constellation in the original novel. Decent choice. The constellations of absolute good are powerful, but they impose restrictions on using their power. The third option is the secretive plotter. This is the first time I've seen this constellation in the series. It might be a constellation that was briefly mentioned, but I'm sure it isn't a powerful one, also a pending choice. Finally, the last one is unexpected, the Prisoner of the Golden Headband. At first glance, Prisoner gives a negative impression, but pay attention to what follows. He's the world's smallest prisoner, living while enduring the pain of his binding head shackles. This is none other than the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, the great sage, Heaven's equal. In the original novel, one character was sponsored by this constellation. The power to destroy hundreds of incarnations with a single sweep of his staff, or annihilate 1,000 monsters with a single lightning strike. His strength was described with grand visions, so I still remember it. Could such a powerful constellation be interested in me? If I choose the great sage, Heaven's equal, could I win against him? Now everyone, are you done? Someone asks. Someone has made an interesting choice. Why not? You'll have another chance. See you in 10 minutes. Everyone, please gather around. He says, this may not be the best situation, but nice to meet you. As you may have guessed, I'm a soldier. Or maybe I should say I was a soldier. You can't contact your unit. He's better and stronger than expected. He lives up to his name as the tanker of the novel's initial stages. I must absolutely take Hunsung with me. And also, thank you for earlier. If it wasn't for you, we would all have been killed. And if we did survive, we wouldn't have been human anymore. He turns to me, saying, you know me, right? You shouldn't call me department head. This isn't the company anymore. He adds, don't you want to come to work anymore? You should have told me about the bugs in advance. How could you just throw them? I reply, just shut up. Do you still not understand the situation? Should I have left that brat to hit you on the head to set your thoughts straight? Mrs., do you think the company still exists, even though the world doesn't? You're not the only one. Everyone needs to wake up. According to the Dokja's words, this isn't a joke. I believe that although you're not saying it out loud, everyone has realized what is happening. A game-like interface, attribute windows, and exclusive skills. Is there anyone who still hasn't understood this? It's like a fantasy novel I used to secretly read while I was on duty, so it still feels unreal. But this is not a dream. It's definitely real. Meanwhile, beyond the door, the sole survivor of compartment 3707 is plain to see. That true protagonist is coming. We need to leave this place right now. We're out of time for the next scenario to start. Someone says, we're not certain if the person behind the door is an enemy or not. Another replies, it's probably a survivor who killed people. Do you still want to meet them? They suggest, let's search for an escape route. When you enter, the barrier was taken down. As long as we find a door that works among the 8 doors in the compartment, we have a chance. Let's hope at least one still works. Icy said that this one is broken as well, and she mentioned that this is only a slightly broken jar we can still open. As she is on the screen, it shows that the coins possess 4,700. He says, I cannot use the coins to increase my strength like I did with my physics, but it's too risky to use the coins in the beginning stages. Who knows what would happen later on? He tells Hunsung to use his skill. The exclusive skill character list has been activated. He gets the character information and says thank you. The response and attributes are the same as the novels. You must have seen it when you opened your attribute window earlier. Since you are a soldier, you must have a skill that would be useful in this situation. Yes, I do have one, but I do not know how to use it, he replies. Just think about using the skill and asks if it will really work. Everyone says it actually worked. The Great Mountain Push was properly activated. The door connected to the compartment will break soon. However, if memory serves correctly, our biggest problem right now isn't that. He said, I know, but what will happen? Didn't I tell you earlier not to go anywhere? The preparation for the next scenario isn't finished yet. Oh well, nothing I can do about it. Lucky bunch of humans. The second condition is to cross the broken bridge and reach the station. The limit for this is 20 minutes, and the reward is 200 coins with the difficulty of each task. Something is wrong. It's not broken, and she shouldn't be tense. The bridge wasn't broken yet, otherwise it would definitely break. We are cheating for the scenario, but without doing this, there is absolutely no way to clear this scenario. At this place, there will be some issues. He may say, what is that? There is a tornado coming for the bridge. The same happened this time. It must be a commander. They say it is coming, and the bridge will break. We can still make it in the early scenarios. It does not seem conventional. This one is probably going to destroy the bridge. There are about 200 meters left. We need to get to the other side before the bridge collapses. It's an easy game, isn't it? It's no fun successfully escaping like this. Why don't we change the mode? As there are zombies coming, the demonic people have woken up. As they reach the situation, he tells everyone to get down. As you wake up, this is the bridge that has been broken into bits. This is the bridge that broke. It's not like I did not expect the situation at all. I didn't expect Han Myungo and Yu Sanga to be with me. Lee Gilyoung and Hyunsung safely got to the other side. What do I do now? Someone has received the Constellation favor through Constellation's help. The skill has been activated, the right to intervene. Engineering the constellations can, at the cost of our losses, the constellation that chose Sangha as its condition in the scenario to help her. This really happens, even in the ways of survival. Did Sangha show that response correctly? This person's information cannot be read with the character list, as this person isn't registered in the character list. He says, I cannot see it with my skill. Does she have a special sponsor, or does she? As she tells him to look behind as zombies are approaching him, he says, I should not be drawing in my torch right now. He is at 9th grade, human type, a demonic person. The morning people made from ordinary humans are not different from zombies, but if the host is extremely strong, this monster becomes extremely dangerous, and it is Kim Nam-woon of all people. He says we need to cross the bridge as fast as possible, but there are 3 people left on this side. Someone must stay behind and try to get the others across. As he sees that everyone has left him behind, he says, did you seriously just leave me behind? He is running on 100. Like that, the stigma must be 1. Let's see, it will be the stick of the constellation lamp trickster. The constellation does not grant a mental stigma, and there is no way that he already has the differences. I see my skill to activate for her, because they are not characters that appear in the ways of survival. That was so obvious, I should have realized it sooner. As the zombies approach, he says, I cannot cross the bridge on my own. The morning people need to cross with me, but he thinks the success rate is far too low. There are only 15 minutes left before the scenery ends. The Dokja says, you're very pathetic, assistant now. Does any constellation wish to have this poor little incarnation? Is anybody interested? As there is no answer, he says, that's very sad. My body is reaching its limits. I may actually die this time around. Only if I had a fighting skill right now, I wouldn't be having such a hard time. The exclusive skill bookmark has been activated. He looks up as the character bookmark has been activated and the available slots are 3. Despite reading 3,000 chapters of the survival, I have never seen this skill before, but I instinctively know how to use it. As he uses Activate Bookmark 1, it is activated. The level of the bookmark is too low. The activation has been short, and the activation time is now 1 minute. As he activates the black inning level 1, the zombie charges towards him, but he gets highlighted by his life. Zombies. I don't want to die again. After fighting everyone, he says, exhausted, it's late. We should have arrived by now. As someone comes up to him, he asks, who are you? Are you telling me I need to pay? The person says something, and as he uses the corrected list, his name shows as Yoo Jung-hyuk. He grabs him and asks, how are you alive? The first way to survive a world is a win world. The one who proved that matters is the man currently creeping down my throat. The grand tragedy of this world began with this person. It's not working. I don't see anything. It seems like the barrier-like thing back on the surface is blocking us, he says. As the person looks at his attitude, it's clear he is the protagonist. Yoo Jung-hyuk replies, an odd name. I get that a lot. As he punches him in the stomach, Yoo Jung-hyuk says, the study body looks like you've already got a hang of using coins. I could say the same to you. We have only cleared a single-man scenario, and reception is, but he's already saying, don't waste your breath. From now on, you will only answer the questions I ask. Understood? This is bad, the worst-case scenario I didn't want to deal with. He is the most dangerous person in the beginning stages. His personality throughout his 3 regressions, with his current mentality, is that he will do anything to achieve his goals. Mrs., watch your tongue, he says. Yoo Jung-hyuk replies, I don't want to, and he punctures him again. You are sorry, but you are younger than me, so you are the one who needs to watch your tongue. This is me. I dispatch my current looks. I work in a game company. He says that was a lie. The truth was that he was a simple character who appeared in a novel he read. Being famous was simply a setting of the plot. It wasn't a lie that I was a fan of his, he says. Yoo Jung-hyuk replies, I will give you this, but your situation hasn't changed. I can see that myself. He replies, I only have a single question. How did you survive in the subway? Yoo Jung-hyuk asks, will you spare me if I answer? He says he's lying. It's obvious just from watching his face. After some time, Yoo Jung-hyuk says, I should use my exclusive skill. And after using his exclusive skill, he adds, I survived by 5 minutes and 1 second. You cleared the scenario by killing insects. He said I was lucky to find the luggage of a kid that stumbled thanks to an explosion in the compartment before. I can see why he's shocked. It's because of me. Unlike the previous times, I created an explosion that killed all the other people inside. As he uses the Eyes of Sage, he says it can reveal some other attribute windows along with hidden information. It is really the strongest detection skill. The remaining time is now 2 minutes and 14 seconds. It's my companion, he says as he uses the Grapevine skill. He then uses the Even Bridge skill and says, in any case, how did you manage to convince this damn regressor? He said it's a sub-skill never breaking now that the skill was turned off. But this is good. It allowed him to join with Jung-hyuk early in the story and cross the bridge. He will ask you one last thing. If you really are a prophet, then you should know your future, right? He has an extremely bad feeling about this. Will I or will I not? He knows about him better than anyone else. Knowing him, if he is the one, he knows before that he has 2 things to say. First, I am not your support, so I hope you will treat me fairly from now on. Second, I will go with you, but you also need to promise to cooperate with me. The exclusive skill Fourth Wall has been blocked from the IFSC. Who are you? I never thought I would have a skill that could block the fourth wall. Are you Sage after Bookmark? It's Fourth Wall. I must kill him now. He says, things have gotten complicated. You won't believe me anymore, so I need to change my approach. My friend, you need reliable companions you can trust. Don't you know already that you can't clear the 46th scene by yourself? He asks. How do you know? Don't tell me you are a regressor. He replies, it's not important who I am. What's important is that I can be of help to you. He adds, if he was a regressor, there's no way I would not have him. But he could be. I know a future that you don't. As he uses the light detection skill, it verifies the words. He says, I know that you have a special power. You also know about the future, don't you? He replies, but you also know that your knowledge is not perfect. He says, regressors relive the lives they lived, so they are aware of future events. Therefore, as long as it does not repeat the exact decisions they made in the previous timelines, they will eventually have to live in a world they don't know. You should make me your companion, and I will fill in the part that you are lacking. A prophet is the best possible companion you could ask for, and I can play a similar role for him because I am the only reader of the story. Do you think you can trust me? With seconds left to complete the scenario, there are only 40 seconds remaining. He says, I have made my decision, and I will make you my companion. He uses the grapevine skill and the even bridge skill and says, in any case, how did you manage to convince this damn regressor? He says it's a sub-skill never breaking now that the skill was turned off, but it's good that he managed to join with Jungyuk early in the story and cross the bridge. He will ask one last thing. If you really are a prophet, then you should know your future, right? He has an extremely bad feeling about this. Will I or will I not? I know about him better than anyone else. Knowing him, if he is the one, he knows before that I have two things to say. First, I am not your support, so I hope you will treat me fairly from now on. Second, I will go with you, but you also need to promise to cooperate with me. Okay, now I believe you really are a prophet, but then suddenly he throws him into the mouth of the monster and calls him son of a dog. The status then says, you have failed to clear the scenario with me, and I will make you the king. As he is drowning, he says, this hurts. I need to hold on. I cannot lose consciousness. He manages to get up as the water reaches him and somehow reaches the surface without getting ripped to shreds. He says, that's psycho. This isn't how you treat a companion. I need to survive this to become his companion. Is that what this is? It's not like I don't understand him. After his failure during his first run, he has never made real companions. During a regression, he was powerful and was hailed as a savior of others, which naturally led him to become a loner. To him, humans are either allies or enemies. Therefore, there is a test he's giving me to solve on my own to understand and stand by his side as an equal. He says, the monster is moving according to the weather. It becomes less active after 3 hours of digesting food. That means I don't have a lot of time left. The hostess comments, it's pretty interesting how it has turned out like this. It was very interesting. He replies, that's correct. You don't look surprised at all. He says, because I have been waiting for you. Just wait. Not only will I survive your test, but I will also become strong enough to rival you. You won't have a choice but to accept me as your companion. If the price for my life is the line for failure, it will be death, not the 3 options you provided. With such a small clue, no wonder you've been attracting so many constellations. I lost 5,100 coins. Then I will allow you to keep your life. Is this guy joking? What about that? He says, I'm not able to take your coins either. If you don't complain, I might kill you right here and now. He replies, then kill me. He says, you can't do it, right? He responds, of course, I can't. I'm having a lot of fun with you right now. There are a lot of constellations entertained watching me. If I was planning to kill you, I wouldn't have descended here to talk to you. He adds, this is infuriating. He asks, he is a low-grade Dokja Byung. How is life as a streamer? Byung replies, broadcasting has not been fun lately. He's very surprised that he knows his name. Does an ordinary human like you know about the Star's Dream broadcast? This is important right now. Don't you want to become the king of everyone? I am asking if you want to say fast, Dokja and Gildal, and become the best streamer among everyone. He says, sign a contract with me, and I will make you the king. He starts laughing and calls him crazy. I should have known when you rejected the responsibility of all the constellations during the responsive selection back in the survey. I did not use any of the constellations. He says, I don't know how you know about the Star's Dream broadcast, but I cannot accept that offer. Unlike constellations, we cannot become your sponsor. You seem to have misunderstandings. I never asked you to become my sponsor. I don't need your strength. What I need is your channel. It looks like you don't understand. I will explain. I want to sign an exclusive contract with your channel. He asks, are you asking for a streaming contract right now? The reply is, yes, that's right. He says normally the conditions in question aren't able to win in this contract. They call it a master-slave contract. The contracted entity is nothing but a slave to the constellation. He says, this is hilarious. I don't know where you learned about this, but I am here, a human, asking for a streaming contract. You're easily bought with no sponsor. He replies, I want to contract with you exactly because I have no sponsor. Why do you think constellations join a channel in the first place? The subscribers to the star's dream can be divided into two large categories. One of them is the fun seekers who join channels to escape their boredom, and the others are incarnation seekers who look for incarnations to sponsor. You need to cater to one of these two groups to become a popular channel. About this, what does that have to do with anything? He responds, you really don't get it. No wonder your number of subscribers hasn't entered the 3-digit range yet. What if your channel could satisfy both the fun seekers and the incarnation seekers? He says there's no way that's possible. No matter how interesting an incarnation is, the incarnation seekers will leave the channel once the sponsor's selection ends. But what if the information doesn't choose any sponsor? And what if the information's ability to send the abilities are sponsored incarnations? He asks. Wait a minute, is this why you don't use it? The reply is, yes, that's right. I bet the constellations are in an uproar by now, asking you to open the channel, questioning the person challenging that regressor. He says, just stop. Don't make me laugh. An ordinary human cannot go against considered incarnations. That's the rule of this world. He replies, and I am saying that I will show you it's possible. So just shut up and do as I say. Didn't I tell you I will make you the king? He adds, every constellation, calm down. The broadcast was shut down due to a server error. I swear I did not close it on purpose. He says, what preferential treatment, dear constellations? I am a Dokja. Don't you know I will be extinguished if that happens? I'm sure everyone already knows that the stream isn't a simple thing. My dear constellation, there's a research button in the lower right corner. How do you know about ancient dragons? He asks. The reply is, according to the ways of survival, the person who got this item is a lucky guy. He's filthy rich. The sponsor bought him an expensive item. He says, so the things you bought are for mucus specs? Why do you need these items? The reply is, you don't need to know that. He says, you won't get a refund even if you regret buying those. He replies, all right, I hope you didn't forget that I haven't agreed to your offer yet. Well, I have to get going now. Try your best to clear the scenario. You really are a shameless bastard. Oh well, hang in there. May the story bless you. He says, there isn't a lot of time left. Acid is being secreted. This is it. I will definitely leave this place alive. He thinks about how long it has been and wonders if he can really do it. I'm just a common reader. I'm not the main character. It was not a dream. He said, you are really awesome. Change the state. It has been 4 days. You are using the Pokéspine in this way. I would never have imagined the hidden scenario ending, and you have around 1,000 coins as an achievement reward. I am happy to know that you survived. This is the stone. How special it is to live in the question feeds it from the space smallest species, usually inside this file, into the skin of the play. But I didn't think that it would be used to close the digestive fluids. Also, the mucus. I didn't know the mucus of the hammer seahorse was so potent. Before starting to attack him, using his fine mucus on my skin and clothes, I have absorbed the vital force from the monster through the thorns to come to the third and hanger and protect myself from mental disorders. He says, excuse me, I should be the one explaining, and adds, that's an excellent way to survive. The answers from Constellations were awesome as he shows him the monster's score. He says, I am going to sell this and put it up for auction. The item to exchange must be the Broken Faith ES, and I will buy this. Wait a minute before you continue, Constellation says. Take a look at the ads briefly before moving on to the next stage. He checks out the contract and says, don't humanize this. It does not mean anything. Let's do it. I read the contract. It's fine, except for something. This is the most important part. Do you mean you just said that you are Greece at transmission contract? It's all agreement. I am talking about the pay ratio. He says, how about 50-50 instead? I will get rid of the channel. I will see you really divided your future donations into this ratio. For example, if you get 100 points, you will receive 50, and I will receive 50. But this is the standard proportion. The constellations have transmitted information through the KB channel. Haven't you already enjoyed a lot of me thanks to me? He says, it's going to be 10-0 ratio, and adds, you will only get the commission. I won't pay you a single penny. He responds, "This is very ridiculous. How about 7-3? I will have to go to another channel and ask him." He says, "Okay, 10-0 ratio," and adds, "Now you give me 5,000 coins, which was the original goal 2 days ago. It took 4 days, so it was not bad. You signed the contract. Maybe I may earn more money than I thought." As there is a system error, he says, "Impossible. It shows that you have been exposed to the poisonous frog." The constellation official Black Film Dragon is making an inner smile. The region in the scenario area is deeply contaminated. He decides to head for the underground with his supplies. This should be enough, he says. As soon as the items start to affect him, he realizes he needs to reach the underground quickly. He hears someone screaming for help, a novel sight, someone who is still alive. She asks him to save her. Meanwhile, at the fourth underground exit, there are 3 people who hear someone saying, "Open the door." But they respond, "No, you cannot come in. Get lost." He insists, "There are injured people with me. This place is filled with the brain. We don't need more people." They reply, "I don't know how that's the problem." As they enter the safe zone, he puts them in his mouth, and recovery will be difficult, but it should neutralize the poison effect. He reflects on the incident, thinking that such crimes are occurring frequently. Isai fights the people that come his way, noting that differences in stats like stamina, strength, and agility create a significant combat power gap between opponents. For example, one person's overall level is 33, while most of the stats of the other person are still in single digits. Even if the latter has the Monarch of Small Fries as a sponsor, that difference cannot be easily overcome. Indeed, he was the least skilled person among everyone in the group, and it wasn't supposed to have killed him. "Why are you still alive?" he wonders. "Perhaps I could have saved those people," he says. He notes that the Monarch of Small Fries is infamous for lacking mercy on his incarnation. "I was going to leave him at this point, but it's a different story now." He just chooses fools who can roll around and play in conditions and enjoy the experience of them losing, like a masochist. "For such cruelty, why?" she asked. "In the world, there's just one excuse. Why did you do it? Because of extinction. This man did nothing for a long time before the world, just like me. We're in the same category. Either way, the world perished, and I have to live out a new life." As Dokja returns, everyone is glad to see him back and asks if he is all right. The other man who was left behind apologizes, saying, "I'm sorry for back then, for leaving you behind." Dokja replies, "No, it's okay. The situation was one that could not be helped." He adds, "I am so thankful that everyone is all right," and mentions that he will probably be alive. In fact, he's not here right now. He left the station yesterday. He explains that the reason why that group's bastard, who should have died at the hands of Junghyuk, is still alive is probably because he left the station in such a hurry. He is a regressor who looks around, having reached his 3rd regression. That guy has become a monster and cast aside everything in his past. He must have left without looking back to keep that purpose. Just then, someone comes up behind them and says, "Nice to meet you. I see you're the new arrival today. What's your name?" The person introduces himself as Cheon Inho, a name that Dokja recognizes. Cheon Inho is the one who had previously wiped the floor with the Choldu group guys. As the one who commands them, there's no way he will let Dokja off easily. Cheon Inho says, "I've heard of you from the people here. You have fought monsters and saved people from our group." He then tells everyone to assemble. He is a brave new member of the group who has brought food for all of us. Welcome him. Cheon Inho continues, "Currently, there are a total of 86 people in the station, and with Dokja, it's 87 people. I wondered, when the sun rose, how many survived near the station and those on the train. I don't want to say it, but they must have survived the first scenario. Those who have trampled on others' lives to survive, everyone present here is a murderer. Gather here, we will be divided into strong and weak groups. I wonder if everyone thought this was inevitable as they reject giving food. The people come to him and say, 'He was supposed to give us food. How is it that you are the only one with it?' Cheon Inho replies that he will make sure everyone gets their fair share. He adds, 'There are really dangerous people in this dangerous world, or those ruined by despair, like Chilsu and the others. Please choose whether you will divide your assets and become a hero, or monopolize them and become a villain. As everyone shouts for food, the man says, "Of course, we will be charged for the food to ensure fairness. Now, you will have no option but to take my hand, and I promise that I will work for you in the future." He continues, "We will have 20 units of food. That much is obvious, but it won't be free." Someone asks, "Are you selling the food?" The man replies, "That's right. I am the volunteer and I don't trust them." He then asks how much money is enough. The man says he will only accept coins. They ask if this is a good price for the food item, and he says it costs 50 coins, which is too expensive. "I have yet to receive 10 coins from all of you, so hand it over," he demands. Someone says, "No issue, I will pay you right now," while another says, "I don't want freebies. Thanks for sharing." The man says, "Don't mention it," and then adds, "Just wait a little longer." He tells everyone to sleep. As everyone goes to sleep, the girl notes that the food was sold out overnight. More than half of the food was bought by the mainstream group, and the amount was paid correctly. This is how you use your skills, she thinks. Because of that bastard, I was wondering why all people had become so gullible. The total amount of coins comes up to 1,450. Some people ask if there is more food, and she responds, "Nope, sold it all." After some time, a woman comes and says, "Did you see that? They are dragging in not only women but also men. I am not going to stop them. If those people go out as escorts, they will never come back. Will you let them stay?" She adds, "It doesn't seem like much, just like dancing at the name, but it's one of the few super-evolutionary type attributes in the way of survival." The crouched figure attribute itself may be ordinary, but depending on the occasion, it could reach not just rare, but even legendary class. The Dokja comes and says, "How has everyone been? You have been bored, haven't you? Track, the friend who usually manages this channel, was disciplined, so I will be in charge for this scenario. By the way, everyone, you all look very peaceful. That acting is also important," and then leaves. "The scenario difficulty is low," she says. He asks, "What is this food?" and adds, "If you start thinking about how to clear the scenario, it's not right to just think about eating. Earth is full of trash, so let's have fun from now on, everyone." Dokja thinks, now it looks like a way of survival novel. He tells everyone to gather and announces, "We have an important announcement. The situation has become worse, so no more scouts from the marginalized group are needed. We want to distribute food to people. If you don't participate as scouts, there will be an extra food penalty." The group reacts with dismay, thinking, "No way this will happen. It cannot be." They are likely wondering if he knew about the food penalty in advance. However, the cost of survival penalty being added was expected, as these penalties will go to the masters roaming the tracks. Looking at it in the long run, a team dedicated to tagging the scenario is important, so come back safely. He thinks, "I get it now. There are two major reasons for the character's understanding to rise. One is when I am likable and earn your trust, and the second is when I accurately guess what the character is thinking. If one of these conditions seems to be rising, it seems to be a case of a letter right now." Suddenly, a new sub-scenario appears, named Food Acquisition. Its difficulty is not specified, the time limit is none, and the compensation is 500 coins. The sub-scenario involves monster grade 9 underground species, such as ground rats that burrow and move in groups. These underground hunters persistently seek out their prey and make moving between stations difficult. It feels like I've gone back to the Stone Age, he thinks. This is all thanks to the explanation of how to handle these slotted monsters. As he defeats all the monsters, one girl rushes past him, but the monster gets defeated easily. The starter pack includes a coin package that can be used when an incarnation's total stats average less than level 10. Apart from raising the combined stats by 1, it is a good item that allows the user to learn weapon training, useful skills for the early scenarios. He wonders if the regressors in the novel felt the same way when they were confronted in this manner. They inform him that Heewon's condition is not good and ask him to take care of her. He says he will send a signal if anything happens, so they should just wait. She responds, "I am really fine." This is the place where ground rats live, in the edge of darkness that absorbs all light. Its front, rear, ceiling, and base cannot be distinguished from each other in its depth. Without Lee Gil-young's driver communication ability, I might have to use the coins again. My heart is still a kid in this world. There are cruel adults who will take advantage of such maturity. He tells her, don't ever lose hope. People who adapt to this kind of world suffer in different ways. Some go mad, some become erratic, and some develop irrational optimism. He is grateful that this place is dark as it hides the expression on his face. It is not good to be cruel, but I have become a cruel adult so this child can choose to survive. The content of the scenario has been updated. You have entered the grounded treasure trove, which contains treasures. A Great 7 demons-type species appears with the name Dark Sentinel. Even among the countless species of monsters, demons are unique. The treasure of the grounded trove is saturated with sacrificial offerings to these demons. Even if they are of the same grade, this species is on a completely different level from other grade 7 monsters. He says, this situation is not good. I want to avoid fighting if I can. He decides to use the exclusive scale of the fourth wall in order to defeat the demon. The Dark Keeper has received the favor of the Demon King. It follows, he said, this is taken better. I didn't want to fight it if possible, as he tells her to stay back from that monster. I just said, was it Karud Yemirin? And she replies, all this pronunciation, my God. So this isn't just Spanish, she can speak a demon language as well. So what is it saying? It keeps saying, become the mother. I can't be another. I am not even married yet, she says. And he replies, I am being called mother. I should be a father. As they fight the monster, he says, it's broken. Other monsters are guarding the chest, and it cannot be hunted just like the other monsters. Enter the bridge right now, he says. This is a fight with no chance of victory. That's why my original plan was not to deal with this monster, but to get the treasure. Just after it disappeared, but as always, plans just exist to go wrong. The Dokja says, you know about this, and he replies, there should be some mail for me by now, so hand it over quickly. The Dokja replies, it is not my responsibility. Sap, you're supposed to be talking to Bihung's place right now. Can't you see the constellations complaining? This is okay then, just once I guess, he says. It will be pretty interesting. The item broken has been acquired. The stats and the brokerage fees have been excluded due to the contract effect. He then asks, how will you even fight with this old thing that is broken? Not to mention, if it cannot be used if you don't have a special skill. He replies, I know it. I would not have bought it if I did not know it. This item is too old for you. Achieving any new performance will be difficult as its durability is low. As he charges, he says, how is this possible? This is after telling the monster in the bridge, I had got the skill from Bihung, the skill Purest Star, and it has been activated. The item Broken 3 is responding to the energy. The Blade of Faith has been activated, and now I have a chance. The Blade of Faith is the best possible weapon when it comes to fighting demonic species. I had neither the fighting sense nor the skills of weapon training, so simply holding a powerful sword did not make me a powerful swordsman. I am not a swordsman after all. I am a reader. The exclusive scale bookmark has been activated. The tentacle on the upper right will always strike first, and after 2 consecutive attacks, there will be an opening. The girl asks, how do you know everything? She is very surprised to know that he said, I happen to read a book very often. The Dokja says, she is my god, the constellations. Did you all see that? Did I see that right? Constellations are applauding. There is the constellation of the Black Flame Dragon, glaring fiercely. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband puffs his air as if he is pleased. That's right. Strictly speaking, it is the broken blade that has absorbed the Purest Star energy and formed the blade. Amazing. This guy is in Bihung's channel, he says. Give me the compensation for finishing the sub-scenario. And you? He replies. That's right. Wait, by the way, aren't you going to kill that guy? He says, no killing. I have a non-killing ideology. But aren't your rewards going to be good if you do? You would be the first to kill a grade 7 demon, and I will give you 7,000 coins. Do you realize how much 7,000 coins is? He replies, no, I still will not kill him. I need to open the compensation box, so please step aside. A grade 7 demon has been defeated for the first time. An impossible feat has been accomplished. You have earned 8,000 coins. Contributors are Kim Dokja and Han Myungo. A person like you will never come out on top. The Great 7 demon has been killed, and the other Demon King has noticed the murder's presence. That Demon King will change the one who dealt the finishing blow. Until their death, demonic servants worship different Demon Kings and inherit some of their powers through the dark route. Therefore, killing a demonic servant means receiving a curse from their kings. Receiving the curse of the Demon King was the most terrible outcome possible for a killer. I did not know exactly what the curse would be, but it would definitely be terrible. As they are eating their food, the girl asks him how he knows so much information about this world. She asks, "Is it because you studied foreign languages, or were you able to translate the morning creative languages for us? By the way, you have been glancing at the box for a while now. Are you planning to use it for something later? There is something like a letter carved on the side." Suddenly, Gil-Yoongi is acting strangely as blood comes out of his nose. These are the vibrations from the ground. The surface is swarming with high-level monsters. If one of those creatures is the king of the insects, then why are we just standing here? As they see a giant mantis coming from a building, it suddenly stops. He adds, "That was really dangerous. I can't believe someone summoned the king of insects. We came very close to being killed. Avoid using this skill for now and only activate it if I tell you to, all right? If you try to wander in the dark, you will get lost. We will wait here until we see some small creatures moving around. If the problem is finding our way back, I think I can take on the role of a guide." The girl says, "I have a similar skill. There are some contracts that come with making a vow with the constellations. Their revenue constellation sponsors details, which shall come at the cost of your own life. Even if I can't confirm their identities, they clearly want to help and strengthen their conditions. That's a good sign." He responds, "This message has never been seen before. The channel by 7623 has been reopened." They say, "That bastard messed with my channel." He then asks, "Everyone, have you been good while I was away?" As they all eat the food, he adds, "This is so tasty." He continues, "We are using the communication meant only for us. This voice is now just audible to me. The rules for taking me to secretly use this are in the atmosphere, and it's getting tense." Everyone is surprised by what is happening. As they ask for coins, they say, "Are you sure that she worked as a scout?" The person replies, "You should apply and keep us company. In this world, coins are power. Right now, I have the most coins out of anyone in the station. There are only 20 people who get that here. If I pay the fees for all of them, I will spend a total of 2,000 coins, which I cannot afford. If I don't give out coins, I will become the villain of the station in an instant. But how many people here would make that kind of sacrifice?" The person continues, "You are the original sin. These people can't even take responsibility for their own lives, even though they trample on others to live." As everyone asks him for coins, he says, "Why would I give you any? I can only tolerate this trickery once or twice." He adds, "I knew someone like you, but why can't you just pay for us? You've been like this from the start, telling everyone to pay you coins for the food." He says, "Give these people their coins back. If I don't, the worst scenario will occur to you." Despite the threats, everyone forces him to give the coins, but he hits the person and kills them instantly. He called it pathetic and said, "Do you really think I am the one responsible for this? I knew it would come from the group. It's the bully attribute. He wasn't originally at this level, so he must have done it. The truth is, all of you already know that I am the one at fault. You're all just scared of me. You know that the ones in the mainstream groups are wrong and that they almost killed me, but you can't confront them because they are strong. You're trembling right now because Cheoin over here is coercing him, and everyone else in this group has the highest stats and many more coins. There are barely 50 people left, and it's probably because those people went out as scouts on the monsters. Please use your brain. Why is it that these guys always come back stronger? They said it themselves. The deal is, if you kill me, all my coins will go to you. However, do you think they found out that you could kill a person and get their coins? As the hostess, there are only 7 minutes left until the deadline. Everyone is panicking, saying, "How could you have done this to us? If you weaklings have any pride left, at least try to get back what was taken from you. This is the kind of world you live in. You have to fight for your life," he says. He adds, I said I will kill this bastard. As he charges, the attribute of Jung Hee-won has blossomed into Judge of Destruction, heroic. Did she really just get the heroine alignment, the strongest one out of 3 possible outcomes for a judge? He says, you will need to stand back for a while. All the constellations of absolute good have agreed to use this skill. He adds, I can't believe I was pushed this far. What are my allies doing? Dokja, the scenario is just the start of what is to come, he says as he grabs the girl. Just a little while ago, we were enjoying grilled meat and making light-hearted jokes while working together. Now, it all seems like a lie. Hisadari, you're really not going to come along with us? They asked. They said that we would be going separately. We have some coins left from yesterday after the last incident. What happened was that the server chose to leave the station, excluding us. There were only 5 people left, those who got through the massacre. They will find a way to live. Those words came out so naturally that there was no question of whether she was accompanying me or not. The Judge of Destruction made it clear. In this way, she became my new party member. Suddenly, the news came that Hamyungo was nowhere to be found. It was time to leave the station and move on to the next stage. She said, I am sharing the coins I have because I feel bad for having so many. The others from the station gave their share to me, and I ended up using a lot of it. If I were you, I would not give my coins, she said. I guess so, but I am not like you, he replied. I have far more coins than she can imagine. This morning, the constellations I received finally came through. A major battle took place. Thanks to that, I was able to level up my skills to raise my magic power for maintaining the star energy and improve my stats. I had to spend 4,400 coins. The next area will be Chungmuro Station, and he said that it was infested with the ground rates. Everyone had to fight continuously to survive, and they all got tired as they settled for a break. The station we had just passed was filled with nothing but corpses of ground rates and dead bodies. Judging from the scars on some of those people, which were due to attacks from monsters, there is a high chance that the culprit was Junghyuk. Regardless, we were still aware that the monsters were not the only fears and creatures in the student world. He said, all statues contain the power of constellations. They were made after shielding within them the power that the constellation had in life, such as skills and items. As the status screen appeared again, it said a constellation wearing a storm wants to appear in front of the ignorant character Jung Hee-won. She said, I remember saying his name while studying for a Korean history certification. This wasn't here. Mock from the Joshi and Destiny. At any rate, these items contain his power, and these items were the real things he wanted. He said, I clapped my hands together and prayed in front of the statue, and these amazing items just fell out of the sky. He added, I believe that he sent these items wishing to save Korea in some way, as he did during the Japanese invasion. He wants to help this country. The power and strength of a constellation are directly proportional to their fame. There is no way he can hate someone like me who is singing his praises and spreading his story. He said, so make sure you are prepared carefully. The next stop is Chungmuro. He put on his headset because of the developer's communication, but we haven't run into any more rates as of yet. Something appeared on the status screen again. It said a new sub-scenario had arrived. He told everyone to stand back